Good morning, how are you doing today? It's about time we finally address on my channel the elephant in the room. We have a collaboration coming up with Bath & Body Works regarding Disney princesses. I have been previously sworn to secrecy because as an employee of Bath & Body Works, we do have some confidentiality rules that we have to follow. So I have been waiting up until this point to be able to share what I know about this new collaboration collection with you. So let's jump right into this video. So this collection is featuring 6 Disney princesses. They each get their own fragrance, and there is a large assortment of accessories as well that come with this collection. Now, this collection is available for purchase online and through the Bath & Body Works app. Although that being said, at this moment, pretty much almost everything is sold out already online. So the full collection drops in stores on February 16th. There are going to be 3 huge tables, at least in my store, 3 huge front tables, all dedicated to the Disney Princess collab. It's going to be the biggest collab that they've ever had so far. So don't worry if you weren't able to take advantage of that online member exclusive preview. That was just a preview. There will be more opportunities to be able to grab these Disney Princess items in stores. So I've actually known about these Disney Princess fragrances for a while now, and I'd like to share with you what they smell like since I have been able to smell all 6 of them. Most of these fragrances are reflecting the season that we are coming up upon, which is spring. So a lot of these do feature either florals or aquatic fragrances just for that reason. But also I think that is very fitting for princesses. I think florals are often associated because of their delicate feminine side. As far as I'm aware, none of these 6 fragrances are repackages. When I smelled them, they did remind me of fragrances from Bath & Body Works in the past, but not necessarily being identical to those fragrances. So as we go along and I describe these scents to you, I will tell you what fragrance they kind of remind me of the most. That way you kind of have an idea of what to compare it to. If you already have a bank of knowledge of what scents smell like at Bath & Body Works, it kind of helps you know what that smells like. Also, something I've noticed about all 6 of these fragrances is that they all go on very light. I find that none of them are overly perfumey. The strength on them is kind of on the softer side. I find that they don't have as intense longevity or power behind them. And some speculation behind the reason of why that is perhaps because they are thinking that maybe young kids are going to be also consuming these products. I think they're using this collection also to widen their target audience. It makes sense to include youth in this as well because Disney princesses, I know that lots of little kids are very familiar with their Disney princesses and Disney characters in general. And so I think this is a collection that will appeal to both kids and adults alike. So to me, at least, it makes sense to have these fragrances be a little bit more on the gentle side and not perfumey, because if you could imagine like a 7-year-old just wearing like a really strengthy perfume, that just doesn't really vibe as well. If they're more gentle overall body splash scents, it kind of makes more sense. First princess up, we have Cinderella. I think that of the batch of princesses that they have provided us fragrances for, she is probably the most classic. She is the oldest and most timeless of the batch. Cinderella is described as being kind, optimistic, and hopeful, and the fragrance notes for her scent are gardenia petals, enchanting musk, and sapphire blue amber. I would describe Cinderella's fragrance as being a herbaceous floral. It's not herbaceous necessarily because of herbs, rather there is kind of a natural salty kind of thing going on with her fragrance that reminds me of like a spa-like scent, almost coming from the aromatherapy. If I were to describe her fragrance as being similar to a fragrance we've already had from Bath & Body Works, it's kind of like a combination of 1 in a Million, which was a gardenia fragrance, except it was less strengthy and powerful as 1 in a Million, and it has more of the strength power of something like the Mineral Stone Spa that we just had recently for the aromatherapy collection. If you were to combine those 2 fragrances, I feel like that's kind of what Cinderella smells like. Next up, we have Belle's fragrance, and she is described as being compassionate, intelligent, and genuine. I would say that of all of the fragrances, hers probably leans the most towards the gourmand side, although not by much. The fragrance notes are rose petals, sparkling buttercup, and whipped vanilla. So the whipped vanilla does bring in a sweetness or a little bit of a depth that maybe the other Disney princesses don't have. I will say though, it is most definitely a floral forward fragrance. That's hard to say. Floral forward fragrance. If I were to make a comparison of what her scent smells the most like, I would say it smells very similar to the Inspired Love aromatherapy, the rose and vanilla. although it's very similar also to the Covered in Roses everyday luxury perfume that we have going on right now as well. I would say both Covered in Roses as well as the Inspire Love aromatherapy have more of a light airy vanilla, while Belle's vanilla is a little bit more on the creamier sweet side. Okay, we have Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. She is daring, confident, and adventurous. And her notes are sparkling jasmine flower, that's very fitting, jeweled currants, and soft wood. So I do see a little bit of the backstory inspiration behind her fragrance. Not only does she have jasmine flower, since that is her name, this one does remind me a little bit of what you would find in the notes of a Middle Eastern perfume, perhaps. This one I find is the most rich and depthy of all of the 6 princesses. Category-wise, I would describe this one as a warm, spicy scent. When I smelled this one, I found that not only was it warm and spicy, but it still had a surprising amount of creaminess and almost like a powdery scent to it a little bit. It still was surprisingly gentle. Normally when I think of warm spicy, I think of them as being very overpowering or strong, but it still had a nice gentle creaminess to it. Comparing this one to a previous scent that you may be familiar with, or maybe not, because this one's a little bit older, but the old aromatherapy Sensual, there were 2 different ones. There was a jasmine vanilla and there was also a black currant vanilla. If you were to combine those 2 together, it makes pretty much what Princess Jasmine's body care smells like, so that kind of makes sense. So if you're someone who is disappointed with the discontinuation of the Sensual body care, maybe you should smell Princess Jasmine. You might like it. Next up, we have Princess Tiana, and I just love the color of this one. It's matching her iconic green dress. So Tiana is described as being a talented and passionate dreamer, and her fragrance notes are delicate water lily, gilded amber, and shimmering bayou woods. So this one kind of surprised me a little bit. I thought that if there was going to be a gourmand, it would have been hers, considering that food is kind of a big part of her story, but alas, it's not. This one's category is complicated because I want to say it's mainly a fruity floral, although it doesn't really feature any fruity notes in the listed notes. So it's kind of giving me fruity vibes, but I guess I would say it's more of an aquatic floral. This one is just a little bit more juicy and top note heavy than some of the other princesses that are out there. A coworker had smelled the shower gel, and to her she said she was getting green apple from it, and when I smelled the shower gel, I did notice that as well. So it's one of those things too where I know the shower gel form at Bath & Body Works tends to run a little bit more on the fruity side. When I smelled it in the fragrance mist, I didn't get as much of that green apple. It almost reminds me a little bit of how Candy Apple Cauldron went, where it's supposed to be a green apple Jolly Rancher scent, but because they had included the bergamot in there, it kind of took it more of a fresh, clean laundry scent with green apple added to it, if that makes sense. So I'm getting a little bit of vibes from Tiana like that. Besides Candy Apple Cauldron, I would compare this one as being similar to Gingham Fresh, which Gingham Fresh was a flanker of our original blue gingham. This one had daisies and pears as the notes, and it had kind of like this nice, juicy, fresh, clean scent, very springy, and that's how I would describe Tiana's fragrance as well. Next up, we have Princess Ariel, second to last, and she is curious, an explorer, and independent. I love that. That's so fun. So her notes are sea salt breeze, golden citrus, and coral waters. Now I just knew they were gonna do an ocean aquatic themed fragrance for her scent, and I'm really glad they did. I actually really like this one. This is probably my second favorite. I saved my favorite for last, so we're getting there. But for her fragrance, it smells extremely similar to, almost the same, at least in my memory, as Saltwater Breeze. So if you are familiar with that fragrance, it was a very nice aquatic clean scent without adding too much floral in there. For me, florals don't really work on my body chemistry. I just don't like the way they run. So normally I would like the fresh aquatic fragrances more, but most of them have notes of floral in them as well. And this one kind of lacks some of that floral aspect to it, which is kind of nice because all of the other ones are very floral. And then I saved my favorite for last, and that is Moana. And of course she has to have the most beachy tropical scent of the bunch. Her descriptor notes are driven, adaptable, and independent. We got 2 independent girls here. She has lush green palms, plumera breeze, and coconut water. So I could be wrong on this, but Moana's fragrance was kind of reminding me of the one that we had last summer called Dragon Fruit and Hibiscus. It was supposed to be a Sol de Janeiro dupe, I guess. My recall on this fragrance is a little fuzzy. I don't know why. I smelt it in passing more than once, but it's like one of those fragrances that I just have a hard time remembering in my brain. You know how like you can smell a scent in your mind when you're really used to it or you just have learned it really well? This is one of those ones. It's a little bit elusive for me. Hers is probably the most playful and fruity of the fragrances, but the Plumera in there, and it just has like a little bit of a solar note going on in there, so it kind of is like a beachy scent without being straight up fruit. So that's pretty much a rundown of what I got from smelling all 6 of those Disney Princess fragrances. Let's talk about forms for a minute. So we're going to have shower gel and body cream, fine fragrance mist in both full and travel size. And then there's also going to be some shimmer diamond mist, which is so appropriate because what's a Disney princess without a little bit of shimmer? We also have some home fragrance included in these scents. We've got 3 wick candles as well as wallflowers. And each Disney princess has her own little featured wallflower plug as well. You've probably seen some in the previews on the app. Lots of fun accessories. We also have some really intense candle pedestals. I noticed that each Disney princess gets her matching lip gloss as well. But the other thing that's really fun and kind of unique to this collection as far as the accessories go, they're featuring this gold tote bag. It's like a big purse. It's not as big as like the Black Friday totes. It's a little bit smaller. Not the one we just had, but previous years we kind of had this same kind of fake leathery texture. So it's gold and it's got all the Disney princesses silhouettes on it. And what they've done is each Disney princess has a little coin purse that matches their persona. So for example, we've got Moana has a Plumera flower, a beach flower. Ariel has a seashell coin purse. I know that Belle had kind of a shape of a book with a little rose on the front. So I think that was a really fun idea to be able to customize your tote bag with whatever Disney princess you identify the most with. Or if you love all of the Disney princesses, you can buy all of them and trade them out depending on your outfit or how you're feeling that day. Also, something nice about the coin purses is that they can function as standalone. You don't have to have them on the large tote bag. So I think that's really great for maybe smaller kids if they want to have like their own little coin purse. I know growing up, I always took pride in my little coin purse and I would always take it when we would go out shopping. And so I think that that's a fun kind of nod to being able to kind of do something small scale if you've got kids that want to be a part of this. So you'll have to let me know down in the comments below, which Disney princess do you think you're gonna enjoy the most? Like I said, I enjoy Moana the most. I tend to be more of a fruity tropical person when it comes to my preferences of fragrances. And then the other thing you'll have to let me know down below is which Disney princess do you wish had a fragrance that they didn't include in this batch? Either way, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful in describing those fragrances to you, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!